The People's United Party called a press conference today to expand on their take on the expedition that more than 100 Belizeans participated in. That expedition, led by Will Mejia of the Belize Territorial Volunteers and Orlando de la Fuente of the Northern Territorial Volunteers, went to Sarstoon Island, being disputed by the Guatemalan government as being part of their country. To prove that it is not, the volunteers journeyed down south with the intention to circle the island with Belizean flags in hand. On their way, they were intercepted by Guatemalan armed forces, which attempted to stop them from entering the mouth of the Sarstoon Island. However, Belizeans were able to pass through the blockage and circle Sarstoon Island. Today, leader of the opposition Francis Fonseca spoke of the situation, and reporter Hipólito Novello has that story.
Today we are filled with two distinctly opposite emotions: pride and shame.
PUP leader Francis Fonseca is speaking about the trip that more than 100 Belizeans took to Sarstoon Island on Sunday and the statements that the government of Belize had issued on it.
Pride in our Belizean citizens who on Sunday, August 16th, gathered in the beautiful community of Barranco in southern Belize and embarked on a journey of courage and determination in support of Belize's territorial integrity and sovereign dignity. At the same time, we experience shame in our Belize government that failed in its most fundamental of duties, most fundamental of its obligations, the protection of its citizens and the protection and preservation of our nation state.
Fonseca called a press conference this morning at Independence Hall, demanding that the government of Belize insist on an apology from the Guatemalan government.
We demand that our Belize government seek a full and unequivocal apology from the Guatemalan government by way of a diplomatic note for their military's actions on Sunday, a full explanation of why they acted in the manner in which they did, a formal commitment that such actions and behavior will not be repeated, and that once and for all, this most recent practice of the Guatemalan military of stopping and questioning Belizean vessels in Belizean territorial waters, that must be put to an end immediately.
Fonseca says that the forward operating base should be built immediately.
We demand of our government that they reassert control over the Sarstoon River. When is it that we lost control of the Sarstoon River and control over our part of that channel? We demand that they build the forward operating base immediately. There should be no delay in that matter.
After the volunteers' trip, the National Security Council issued out a press release in which it stated that volunteers not only transited the north but the south channel of the river, and that, quote, assertion and maintenance of sovereignty over Sarstoon Island and our half of the river is best left to the Belizean military and Belizean diplomats, end of quote.
We did go into the southern channel, but be very careful. Half of the southern channel is ours. The midpoint of the southern channel marks the international boundary. There is no way to go around the island without entering the southern channel, which is the main channel of the river. But at all times, all the boats remained in Belizean internal waters.
And all the reporters that were there can verify this. We entered through the northern channel, we circled the Sarstoon Island and exited through the southern channel, which we kept to our waters. So at all times, all our Belizean boats were in Belizean waters. So that National Security Council report is a total lie. It really pissed me off. And who wrote that? I don't have kind words for the person.
Reporting for Love News, Hipólito Novello.
In its release, the National Security Council expressed its pleasure that the trip to Sarstoon Island ended without major incident. The council said that, quote, the welfare of Belizean citizens, no matter what the circumstances, is always of paramount concern to the council and the government of Belize, end of quote. However, the Belize Coast Guard was not present when the volunteers journeyed to Sarstoon Island and were intercepted by Guatemalan armed forces. PUP leader Francis Fonseca says that if he was Prime Minister, he would have handled the situation differently.
I would have made it very clear to our security forces, the Belize Defense Force, the Coast Guard, the National Coast Guard Service, that we have an obligation to protect our citizens. We seek no confrontation with Guatemala, obviously. But if our citizens in good faith, if we have determined as a government that our citizens, concerned citizens of this country, in good faith, want to travel to a particular part of our territory, and they are uncertain about that journey, that they would feel much more comfortable if our security forces were there and present to assist them and to guide them and to make sure that in fact there are no accidents or no misjudgments as to where they are, to ensure that they are at all times, as they were at all times in Belizean territorial waters. I would have absolutely immediately directed my Coast Guard officials and the BDF to accompany them to Sarstoon Island and to ensure their safety and security.
Love News was one of the several media houses which made the trip to Sarstoon Island and recorded on tape the entire experience. Footage shows that Guatemala armed forces attempted to stop Belizeans from entering the mouth of the Sarstoon River in order to circle Sarstoon Island. Some of the footage was repeated tonight. However, Minister of Foreign Affairs Wilfred Elrington does not believe the Belize media. Well, at least that is what he reportedly told the Amandala newspaper. Elrington states that he cannot go by what was reported or by the Belize territorial volunteers because he cannot be sure that we were indeed in Belizean waters and that he needs to receive a report from the Organization of American States in order to act.